there. Outstanding. Chrystia, I think you're up first.
Yes, I am. Bonjour et joyeuse Pâques. Je tiens tout d'abord à souligner que nous sommes réunis sur les territoires traditionnels de nombreuses nations, notamment les Mississaugas du Credit, les Anishinaabe, les Chippewa, les Haudenosaunee et les Wendat. What a great day, what a great day for us to all be here together in Scarborough. I am so excited. I'm excited to be here with these great families, these great kids, these great educators. I'm excited about the announcement that we're here to make. I just want to start by mentioning a couple of the colleagues who are here. We are in the riding of our great friend, John McKay. John. We've just seen the Prime Minister's talent as a short order cook. You know he's cut up some cucumbers and strawberries for his kids. And I'm here with my colleagues, Ministers Marci Ien, Jenna Sudds, and Mark Holland, and a great representation from our Toronto caucus. I think we have Nate Erskine-Smith, Julie DeBrusen, Jean Yip, and Ryan Turnbull. So thank you everyone for being here. This is a big and great day. And really, I want to thank and recognize the educators, the people who care for our kids. We are so glad to be here with Ucha Sawyers, who's the CEO, and all the incredible people at the East Scarborough Boys and Girls Club. We just had a chance to hang out with some of the kids here, and they were telling us about coming here every day before school, how important it is. I heard that the waffles served with chocolate sauce are a particular hit. And really, to have kids talk with such affection, such comfort, such confidence about a place they go before school, that says everything you need to know about the work being done here. You are such an important resource for children and families in Scarborough. And I can tell you, having spoken to some happy children who feel safe and loved here, that the work you do is truly essential. I also want to recognize the work of some of the advocates for children who are with us today, like Tyler Arsenault, Debbie Field, Judith Berry, Amberly Reitz, Heidi Yateman. We have some amazing teachers, the Canadian Teachers Federation, and our friend, Senator Hassan Youssef, for championing this cause. Someone said to me today that today's announcement is the culmination of 30 years of work and advocacy. So it's a day's announcement. Yeah. And truly to all the people who have been working so hard, building the case, making the arguments, caring for our children, thank you so, so much. Today, we're living in a pivotal moment, and we have a plan to help every generation of Canadians get ahead. And that's because today, many younger Canadians feel as though the deck is stacked against them. They can get a good job, they can work hard, but far too often, the reward remains out of reach. Ce que plusieurs parents et grands-parents ont, comme le confort et la sécurité, c'est ce que nous voulons pour nos enfants et nos petits-enfants. Nous voulons que leur travail acharné soit récompensé, comme il l'a été pour nous. And that is why we are acting now to build a Canada that works for younger Canadians, a Canada where they can get ahead and where their hard work pays off. First, we're going to turbocharge the construction of new homes across the country. Second, we're going to make life cost less. And third, we're going to grow the economy in a way that is shared by everyone. We are all here today because we have an important announcement to make in our next step in this plan. And this is an announcement, this is a step that's going to make a big difference in the lives of children and families, especially younger families across Canada. In the upcoming federal budget, we will be announcing a new national school food program. We are investing $1 billion over 5 years, which will provide 400,000 more kids across the country every year with food in school. That's 400. So that's 400,000 more kids beyond those currently served by school food programs. It's a lot of kids. I'm really glad that we're able to do this. We're going to get this done by working together with provincial, territorial, and Indigenous partners and expanding access to school food programs across the country. And we want to get started as early as the 2024-2025 school year. For mums and dads across Canada, especially those who are struggling with the high cost of groceries, this will mean peace of mind, knowing that their kids will have healthy food and are well taken care of. For kids, it means not being hungry at school, because when you're hungry, it's really, really hard to learn. And when you've just had a healthy snack, it is a lot easier to focus, to learn, to play, to grow. That is why we're introducing this new national school food program, so that every single child across Canada can have a fair chance at a good, healthy life, so that every single child at school can be focusing not on how they feel hungry and would really like something to eat, but can focus on learning. Notre gouvernement est entré en fonction en promettant de renforcer et d'élargir la classe moyenne. Nous avons tenu cet engagement en réduisant la pauvreté, surtout chez les enfants et les personnes âgées, et en créant des millions de bons emplois pour les Canadiennes et Canadiens. Notre travail n'est pas terminé. Notre nouvel objectif d'aujourd'hui est de tracer un chemin vers la classe moyenne pour des millions de jeunes Canadiennes et Canadiens. Dans tout ce que nous faisons, nous voulons qu'une vie meilleure soit à la portée de nos jeunes générations. Parce que ce que vous avez gagné, parce que c'est ce que vous avez gagné et c'est ce que vous méritez. Et c'est aussi ce que vos parents et vos grands-parents souhaitent pour vous. So thank you very, very much for being here on an Easter Monday. I am so happy and so excited that we're able to take this big step together. And now I'm going to pass it over to my colleague, Minister Jenna Sudds. Jenna, over to you.
Amazing. Excellent. Well, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you to the East Scarborough Boys and Girls Club for hosting us here today. For myself, as an MP, as a mom, as a volunteer and past board member with my local food bank, I hear from parents about the struggles that they feel today as they raise their children in this economy. Les épiceries coûtent cher et pour certaines, il n'est pas toujours possible d'envoyer leurs enfants à l'école avec un repas complet. At lunchtime, that kid who doesn't have food doesn't sit with his or her friends because he's embarrassed and he's hungry, and he certainly isn't concentrating on his classes. So I want to take a moment today to thank the incredible teachers, school volunteers across our country that often bring snacks to school with them, that they purchase themselves to share with their classes. Like Melinda. Melinda's a teacher in Ottawa who brings granola bars to have in her desk so that when there's a child in her class who's hungry, she can share a granola bar with them. And Lisa, an elementary teacher, in St. Catharines, who's always looking for ways to get more food into her classroom and loves to see the impact that it has, from redirecting their attention, learning, or to the social aspects of simply seeing them try new foods with their friends. She shared with me how heartbreaking it is to see kids hungry day after day at school. Nous nous sommes engagés à changer cela. The responsibility for ensuring that no child spends the whole day on an empty stomach shouldn't be on individual teachers. We are in Canada. We can do better, and we will do better. As Minister of Families, Children and Social Development, I'm committed to ensuring that no child goes hungry at school. Simply put, the first ever National School Food Program will help nourish Canada's future. This is a big day, and I want to make sure that we take the time to thank the and Tommy at Breakfast Clubs of Canada, Carolyn and Debbie at Coalition for Healthy Schools, as well in BC and founder of Lunch Lab, and so many others, those in the room and across this country. Dedication and their steadfast advocacy, which helped us get to today. Assurons-nous de leur donner plein potentiel. We believe in investing in people. Canadian Dental Care Plan. Fairness start in life. It means being there to give parents a hand up to doing. We will be there to have your back. I'd like to now introduce my friend and colleague, the Minister for Women, Gender Equality and Youth, Marci Ien. Thank you very much.
Bon après-midi. Bonjour. Hello, everybody. I said to somebody, well, a lot of people, this is a good day, and I kept getting corrected, and it was like, no, it's great. It's great, Marci. So we're going to go with that. I asked members of the care community, so many of you, one word that would describe this day. And here's what I heard. I heard transformational. I heard amazing. I heard great. I heard a couple of words together, thank goodness, finally, but we're here. Please excuse me as I get a little personal here. There are teachers in my life that I love a lot, and they live in different parts of this country. Calgary, Alberta, La Loche, Saskatchewan, and right here in Scarborough, Ontario, where I'm from. Here's the thing about Scarborough is always in the house. Always. So here's the thing about all of them, all of these teachers. Their kids, and they call them that, their students are at the center of everything. They are the reason. Capital REASON, they are it. So if someone comes to school hungry, they know it. They notice if someone's lunchbox isn't full, or maybe if someone skips a class trip because they don't have the lunch money required on said trip. Programs only go so far. So sometimes these teachers, these caregivers, these educators, they get creative. And they have things like community breakfasts or after-school study sessions that include a meal, a healthy meal. They sometimes, and it's actually a lot of times, as Jenna mentioned, use their own money because their kids matter and they know that being hungry means you can't possibly learn well. What we're announcing today is going to help. Help families that no matter how hard they work, they're struggling to put food on the table. Help kids that aren't eating enough. And that's almost 1 in 4 in this country we call home. Help teachers, parents, care communities. Help to give young people what they need and deserve, a fair chance, which includes a full stomach. When young people thrive, so too does a nation. It is young people that hold the key to a country's future. That's why this investment in this national food program is so important. It's important because it's a down payment. It's a down payment on the well-being of a most valued resource, our young people, our youth. So I want to say thank you, a big thank you to the care community in this room. There's so many of you, you've chatted, that have said, we've been working on this for decades. We can't believe we're here. But the fact of the matter is, we are, and we're not done. There's lots to do, but this is a heck of a start. It's a heck of a start. I now have the great honor to pass the mic to Chrystia, CEO of the Boys and Girls Clubs. Chrystia.
So I want to, as CEO of BGCE Scarborough and Ma'at Innovation and Cultural Center, welcome you all behind, and all of you in front, to our space. It's, again, just a wonderful, dynamic day to be here presenting and to be the host, actually. We're not presenting, but we are the host of this major, major milestone for the Good Food Movement. The Coalition for Student Healthy Food and Nutrition has been working on this work for eons. I have Ryan Turnbull, who he and I on Food Secure Canada. We're working for many, many, many years looking at how we could advocate. Debbie Field as well, one of the coordinators and actually, life of pushing this work forward. So as somebody from Scarborough who born and raised in the local community, now having the opportunity to work, yes, let's clap. Having the opportunity to work with and provide opportunities to animate access, which is very important. I think that's the key point here, is increasing access to healthy, nutritious, culturally appropriate food that will nurture our generations that will go on to be stewards for our local community. Being an educator prior to this, running an African-centered school here in Scarborough for many years, we saw firsthand the impacts of that investment in food and food as a love language. So we're so glad that the federal government is loving on our children in this way. And we definitely look forward to growing and advancing this movement because we know firsthand here, many of our children locally, sometimes the snack and the meal that they have here is the only snack and meal that they're having for the day. And when we talk about the 1 in 4, this local community has the largest population of children and youth who are living below the poverty line in Canada. And so it's very, very important for us to make sure that we are being accountable to our work with them and making sure that we're nourishing them so that they can nourish their minds and they can come back and be stewards and fortify this space and many other community spaces so that we grow as a collective community together. So again, I want to say thank you so much to everybody for coming out today and for being here, and thanks to everyone here. We're so pleased and overjoyed for this investment. It's been a very, very long time coming, and we look forward to supporting rolling that out. Thank you so much.
Hello, everyone. Now, the last time I was here at the Boys and Girls Club of East Scarborough was in March 2020, right before the pandemic. The world has changed in the past 4 years, but the team here continues to do outstanding work. So thank you, Ucha, and to your entire team for the amazing work here for young people and for the community in Scarborough. Je suis très heureux d'être ici à Scarborough avec la vice-première ministre Freeland, les ministres Sudds et Ien, le député local John McKay et les autres membres de notre équipe, dont Julie, Nate, Ryan, Mark et Jean. On est ici aujourd'hui pour parler de ce qu'on fait pour soutenir les enfants et les familles. It's Easter Monday today. During the long weekend, a lot of people spent time with their family and shared good meals together. And around the kitchen table, a lot of people were talking about grocery prices that are still too high. Tomorrow, kids will be going back to school, and some of them won't have enough to eat. That impacts their health and their opportunities to learn and grow. And like we said last week, this year's upcoming budget will be all about fairness. Fairness for every generation. And that, of course, includes and starts with children and families. We all want kids to have the best start in life, including the most vulnerable. That's why we'll be investing $1 billion to create a national school food program that'll provide meals to 400,000 more kids every year beyond those served by existing programs. We'll work with provinces and territories and Indigenous partners towards ensuring every child has the food they need. On va investir $1 milliard à travers les provinces, territoires et communautés autochtones pour augmenter les programmes d'alimentation scolaire et offrir des repas à 400 000 enfants de plus à chaque année. On va aider les enfants en s'assurant qu'ils ne passent pas la journée à l'école, le ventre vide. Et en même temps, ça va donner une tranquillité d'esprit, un soulagement aux parents et aux grands-parents. We just know that when kids eat better, they do better in school. The teachers, advocates, and volunteers I spoke with today know that, and it's something I remember from my years as a teacher. When a kid walks up before class and says, "I'm hungry," that means we all have more work to do as a school community, as a country, as a world. We want everyone to be able to eat well so they can reach their full potential. Le Programme national d'alimentation scolaire vient s'ajouter à nos investissements générationnels pour aider les familles et rendre la vie plus abordable à travers le pays. Je pense aux services de garde et les soins dentaires. I think of the Canada Child Benefit that provides families with nearly up to $8,000 per child per year. With it, since 2015, we've lifted 650,000 children out of poverty, and Canada's child poverty rate has been cut in half. We're fighting every day to build an economy that helps every generation get ahead. People out there are still talking about the trickle-down economy, still thinking if you give tax breaks and opportunities to the wealthiest, that will somehow create more job and wealth that will eventually make it down to everyone else. The problem with that theory is it's never worked. Ever. That's why for the past 8 years, we've been putting in place the building blocks of what is a strong economy, starting with the Canada Child Benefit that has cut child poverty rates in half, moving forward with investments in making sure that young people can afford to go to school, making investments in housing, in health, in mental health, More recently, $10 a day childcare that's saving, even in provinces like Ontario, that's only cut it in half on their way to $10, saving thousands of dollars a month to families right across the country. We're moving forward on dental care for young kids and for seniors. Already over 1.6 million seniors have signed up for our dental care program. This is a choice our government continues to make to invest in the most vulnerable, because that's how you build a strong economy, by making sure everyone has the opportunity to reach their potential. And every step of the way, the Conservative Party has opposed our investments in communities and in Canadians. In fact, this past December, when Liberal MP Serge Cormier tabled a bill to develop a national framework for a school food program, Conservative politicians in Ottawa voted against it. See, our government knows that Canada's success depends on people of all ages being healthy, doing well, and being set up to succeed. That's what we're focused on. Fairness for every generation. Une chance équitable pour chaque génération. Thank you all for being here today for this really important announcement. Looking forward to taking your questions.
Thank you, Prime Minister. We'll now begin the question period. One question, one follow-up. First question goes to CBC.
How are you?
Very well.
Nazima Walji, CBC. How will you make sure provinces will be on board with this program? And dental care, pharmacare, now a national school food program, it all costs money. How do you make the case that this is something the government can afford?
This has been a point of debate with the Conservative Party, the Conservative opposition, over the past 8 years. We believe that confident countries invest in themselves, invest in their communities, invest in their people. That's what we've been doing. Yes, with access to pharmacare through specifically prescription contraceptives and insulin. These are things that are going to make us better off as a country. Making sure that seniors and young people who can't afford to go to the dentist can actually get their teeth fixed. That makes us better off as a country. Investing in $10 a day childcare, that makes us better off as a country. These are things that we are stepping up with as a government, not just because it's the nice thing to do, but it allows us to be more successful as an economy. It allows people to have the opportunity to achieve their dreams. These are the investments we're making, investments that the Conservative Party has consistently voted against. And when it comes to a national food program, which we promised in our 2021 election, we've recognized that every province and territory has its ways of delivering food programs to kids, but we also know the need is far greater than anyone is able to meet right now. So we're putting $1 billion forward to be sent out to provinces and territories to add 400,000 more kids across the country who will have fuller bellies in class, who will be able to go to school and know that they can focus on reading and learning and playing and not on the grumblings in their bellies. These are choices we are making as a government because we know that making sure that young people here get the best start in life, that teachers can be there supporting their kids in the most ambitious way possible, is how you build a strong economy, is how you build fairness for every generation. That's why we're here to do this, even though, yes, Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives wouldn't. Next question?
Yeah, I have a follow-up, but could you answer that in French as well?
Of course.
Thank you.
C'est un choix que nous avons fait en tant que gouvernement de reconnaître que des pays confiants investissent dans leurs citoyens, dans leur communauté, dans leur avenir. On a été là avec plus de places en garderie à travers le pays. On était là avec l'allocation canadienne pour enfants qui a sorti des 650 000 enfants de la pauvreté et coupé la pauvreté infantile en moitié à travers le pays. On est là avec des investissements pour contrer le diabète, avec l'assurance médicaments, pour les contraceptifs à ordonnance. On est là pour des soins dentaires pour les jeunes et pour les aînés. Pas juste parce que c'est la chose gentille à faire, mais parce que c'est la chose concrète qu'on peut faire pour s'assurer que tous et chacun aient la chance de réussir dans notre économie. L'idée de laisser des crédits d'impôt aux plus riches dans l'espoir qu'ils vont créer des emplois pour les autres, là, ça ne fonctionne pas. C'est toujours l'approche des conservateurs et c'est l'austérité et c'est des coupures dans les programmes. Nous, on est là pour investir dans les citoyens, dans les familles. Et avec un programme national pour la nourriture à l'école, l'alimentation, on est là aussi. Ça fait 30 ans au Québec que le Club des petits déjeuners est parti. C'est du travail qui a été énorme pour améliorer les résultats des enfants, mais on sait qu'il y en a plus à faire. Alors, avec 1 milliard de dollars de plus pour les provinces, territoires et communautés autochtones, pour livrer encore plus de nourriture à encore plus d'enfants, on parle de 400 000 enfants de plus à travers le pays, on le sait que notre économie va devenir plus forte, notre avenir va être meilleur pour tous.
On the federal carbon tax, it's not just the Conservatives who are calling for a pause. Premier Fury in Newfoundland has asked for a pause again today and asked for an emergency meeting to discuss alternatives to carbon tax. Will you hold such a meeting? And are you concerned the consensus you built on the carbon tax is falling apart?
First of all, let's be clear about what's happening right now. The price on pollution is increasing along with the Canada carbon rebate. We are effective in putting a price on pollution that is driving down emissions and leading the way not just in protecting the environment for the future, but on sparking the kinds of innovation and upgrades that companies and individuals are doing to their homes, to their businesses, so that we can be both better for the environment and more competitive. This is the kind of leadership that Canada is showing and has shown over the past 8 years as people around the world look to our success at transforming our economy to be less carbon emitting. We have a big plan on fighting climate change, but the price on pollution is a full third of that plan that makes a huge impact. But at the same time, we know that if we're putting a price on pollution, the cost cannot land on ordinary families across the country, which is why we're delivering a Canada carbon rebate that puts more money back in the pockets of 8 out of 10 Canadian families across the country in regions where the federal backstop applies to help with affordability. So we're both fighting climate change in one of the most efficient ways possible and putting more money back in people's pockets with checks that arrive 4 times a year. The next Canada carbon rebate check is arriving on April 15th. So it's money in people's pockets while we continue stepping up in the fight against climate change. That's what we're doing. Now, Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives are actually getting in the way of delivering the doubling of the rural top-up across the country. We committed to double the rural top-up for the Canada carbon rebate from 10 to 20%, but that's being blocked by the Conservatives who are preventing money from getting in the pockets of Canadians right across the country who need that money with the cost of groceries, with the cost of living going up right across the board. So anything that Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives are talking about, worried about affordability or worried about climate change, is simply false. Because they're blocking climate action and they're blocking money in people's pockets. And from the very beginning, we said that this is a federal backstop. We need the entire country to reach a similar level of stringency, of ambition in fighting against climate change, both because we need everyone to do their part, but also because it has to be fair right across the country. Wouldn't be fair for one region to have to pay more than a different region, which is why we brought in a federal backstop. A number of provinces said, no, we're going to do our own system or keep up with our own system. British Columbia, Quebec, even the Northwest Territories have their own approach to pricing pollution, which is just fine. Every other province has the opportunity, if they want, to create a system that is equivalent to what BC, what Quebec, and what the federal backstop is. Every province has had many opportunities to do that, and we're always open to work with them on a way that will put a price on pollution, will support families, but mostly will reach the same level of ambition of everywhere else across the country. So all those premiers that are busy complaining about the price on pollution, but not putting forward a concrete alternative that they think would be better for their communities, are just playing politics. Every province has the opportunity to put forward its own plan, as long as they are fighting climate change to the same level that we're asking all other Canadians to do. That's what a federal backstop is. But we're not seeing detailed plans from the premiers on this. They'd much rather try to complain about it and make political hay out of this. But Canadians know we need to fight climate change, and we need to be supporting people with more money in their pockets. That's what the federal backstop does. That's what the Canada Carbon Rebate that's landing in people's bank accounts as of April 15th is going to help them with. And that's a Canada Carbon Rebate, money in people's pockets, that Conservative politicians want to take away.
Thank you. Next question.
Hi there, Prime Minister. Good to see you.
Good to see you, Wyatt.
I'm going to switch gears for a moment here. The pro-Palestinian protests across the country have been prompting quite a bit of discussion, I think it's fair to say. You have some members of your caucus, like Anthony Housefather, who said he's both thinking about and reflecting on his future within the party. But then at the other end of that, you also have a very large many members, who are openly calling for a ceasefire. So I guess how do you as Prime Minister kind of balance such a polarizing issue, not just within your caucus, but within the country?
Well, I think you struck it exactly right. These are really difficult times and really difficult moments right across the country, where people have feelings of anger, feelings of grief, feelings of fear and concern, and very difficult conversations happening in communities across the country. I think it's sort of important that our political parties can actually be a reflection of the kinds of conversations going on in communities across the country. And it is a very good thing that we have both significant number of Jewish MPs and a significant number of Muslim MPs in our political party, because that allows us to have conversations that are the reflection of the kinds of conversations going on out there across the country. It is an incredibly difficult time. People are filled with senses of grief, of powerlessness, of anger, of frustration, and of course, people are allowed to, and we will always defend their rights to go out and express themselves and share their concerns and their anguish with their fellow citizens. It's an important right that all Canadians have. And we're going to continue to make sure we're having those conversations in a way that eventually brings people back together. Because in all this, sometimes we're forgetting a little bit that our neighbors are also our fellow Canadians. And someone on the other side of the perspective is also hurting and grieving, and being able to pull people together and try and find solutions, not just for Canada, but for the world, is what this party and indeed this country is all about.
And then just kind of following up on that, obviously there were protests in Toronto over the weekend where there were a number of arrests made. Despite policing obviously being a provincial jurisdiction, a lot of people still turning to you for your perspective. I guess what steps will your government take, perhaps working with the provinces, to both balance the obligations of law enforcement with Canadians' rights to peacefully assemble and free speech?
Well, first of all, it is a fundamental right that people are able to protest freely in this country. It is really, really important in our democracy and in democracies around the world that people have that ability to mobilize, go out and express their concerns for policies here at home or things happening overseas. That's something that this government will always defend. And that protest needs to be done peacefully in a way that doesn't endanger other people's lives. We expect police to both obey the laws and enforce the laws. And that's something that I think is necessary. Just waving a Palestinian flag is not in itself something that is unacceptable or anti-Semitic. People are allowed to express their concerns on every side of the event. It's when you start making people feel unsafe in their neighborhoods, in their schools, in their communities, that we fall into things where police do need to lean in and make sure that everyone is safe and feels safe. But that is a balance that is ongoing every single day by police forces across the country. And as a federal government, we expect people to obey the law. We expect the police to obey the law, but we also expect the police to enforce the law.
Thank you. Next question.
Hi, Prime Minister. Barbara with Queen's Park Briefing. On today's announcement, could you just be more specific on how exactly will this program be rolled out?
Well,
Thank you.
We recognize that provinces across the country have been investing in school food programs, including increasing their investments. Nova Scotia just came out with an ambitious plan. Manitoba is moving forward as well. Lots of provinces have different approaches, but we also know in every province across the country and territory across the country, there are still needs that are unmet. So we look at it as a federal responsibility to step up and try and make sure even more kids have opportunity to have safe, healthy food in their schools. And this is money that we're going to work with the provinces and territories and Indigenous communities on to make sure that they mean better, healthier food for kids to be able to access while they're studying. There's lots of conversations now to be had with the provinces, but as the Minister of Families and Social Development pointed out, these are measures that we hope are going to be able to kick in time for the upcoming school year that starts in September.
Hi, Prime Minister. Marhaba to the Canadian Press. Also on the same topic, some provinces have school meal programs, some don't, some have larger programs than others. How are you going to make sure that there's a kind of balance in terms of, is it going to be like the funding for this program is going to be sent to provinces per capita basis, or how is it going to be measured?
We're going to continue to work with the provinces who are delivering school food programs to invest $1 billion more. That'll mean 400,000 kids who right now aren't getting the adequate support are going to be able to it. And there's more needs than just 400,000 more. That's why we're going to continue to work. But this $1 billion we're announcing today, that we're going to sit down with the provinces and look at how best to deliver them, is going to make a huge difference.
Just to follow up on the carbon pricing topic, why do you think you lost the support of some Liberal and NDP premiers and provincial opposition leaders when it comes to this measure?
You know what? All Canadians know that we have to fight climate change. All Canadians know that we are squeezed on affordability. This is a plan that both fights climate change and puts more money in the pockets of 8 out of 10 families across the country. I think the question is, why are so many Conservative politicians and provincial premiers opposed to a plan that is extraordinarily powerful in fighting climate change and sparking innovation, and puts more money back in the pockets of Canadians? We hear premiers across the country worried about the cost of living for their citizens, and yet they want to scrap checks that leave more money in people's pockets. The question for me isn't, why am I fighting climate change and putting more money in people's pockets? It's, why do so many politicians out there stand against fighting climate change and putting more money in people's pockets? That's the question.
Next question.
Bonjour, Myrna Djukic pour Radio-Canada. Toujours sur la taxe carbone, on sait que ça augmente aujourd'hui et malgré tous les arguments que vous avez mentionnés à mes collègues en anglais, l'opposition est très forte dans les provinces. Allez-vous reculer et sinon, comment allez-vous calmer la grogne là, qui visiblement est très, très présente?
Nous augmentons le prix sur la pollution et nous augmentons aussi les rabais, la remise canadienne sur le carbone qui va être livrée le 15 avril à travers le pays dans les juridictions qui ont le régime fédéral. On met plus d'argent dans les poches des Canadiens tout en luttant contre les émissions qui causent les changements climatiques. La question pour moi, c'est pas pourquoi est-ce qu'on est en train de le faire, mais bien pourquoi est-ce qu'il y a des politiciens qui s'opposent à la lutte contre les changements climatiques, qui s'opposent à des chèques qui mettent plus d'argent dans les poches des Canadiens. Et même ce qu'on voit de M. Poilievre, il est en train de bloquer le doublage de la remise rurale qui va augmenter l'argent dans les poches des Canadiens qui vivent dans des milieux ruraux ou lointains. C'est illogique, mais Pierre Poilievre est en train de bloquer de l'argent pour les Canadiens à la Chambre des communes. Nous allons continuer d'être là pour aider les familles avec les coûts de la vie, tout en luttant contre les changements climatiques, parce que c'est comme ça qu'on bâtit un avenir meilleur pour tous.
Thank you. Last question.
Canadian Jewish News. As we approach the 6-month anniversary of the attacks on Israel, I know certainly Minister Joly and other ministers have been to Israel. Do you plan to go to Israel?
I've been to Israel a number of times, and I look forward to going there again.
Do you have a trip planned since October 7th?
We're watching events unfold. I look forward to going back soon.
Thank you. That concludes today's press conference.
Merci beaucoup tout le monde.